Yep. Good evening, everyone. So yesterday we learned about how the TypeScript application works. So the difference between the React JavaScript application and TypeScript. Have you tried anything converting the previous examples into TypeScript? Have you tried any? You have to do that now, right? That means whatever examples you learned, everything, data binding, style binding, class binding, event binding, right? And all the events shopping example, not only that, complete end-to-end project you have seen, CRUD example, that completely you can create in TypeScript now. Only the point is you create contracts for videos, contract for user, contract for admin. For everybody, we need contracts, and those contracts we need to configure and define. Right? So you need to replicate complete JavaScript examples, whatever you learned into TypeScript. So knowing about TypeScript is the major thing. Creating a TypeScript application is not a major thing for people who already done with JavaScript. Just they need to know the difference between them, right? Now, some more basic important things you need to know here is about how the concept of few another important things, how we can work with some options like unit testing, Webpack, and deployment, how these will work, Redux native like this. Actually, I will show some basic points first. So first, what is the concept is how we can create a simple end-to-end application. So for that, actually, we need the concept of Webpack. Actually, Webpack is not only for React. So Webpack is used for different applications. Even a simple general web application also have Webpack concept. Webpack is nothing but generally it is a bundler. It is a bundler. Webpack is a bundler. That means it is used to bundle your assets. So it is used to bundle your assets like images, CSS, so other TS, JavaScript, etc. So what is the concept of bundle is nothing but actually in web designing, we have a concept called bundling and minification. This is very popular concept in web development. You will have a concept called bundling and minification. It is very common in all web development. Minification, I hope you already know. Minification is compressing the files. That means you have .css. We will compress min.css. Compressing is minification. Usually compressed files we use in production and ordinary files we use in development. We have development and production files. JavaScript also have minification. So usually we minify the files to reduce their size. What is bundling? Minification is for reducing the size of file. Bundling is to reduce the number of requests for a page. Bundling is the process of reducing the number of requests for page. Actually, what happens now is you designed index.html. In that, you are linking some CSS file. You are linking b.css file. You are linking c.css file. You are linking script source a.js file like that. And you people know that if number of files you are linking, then number of requests will increase. And when number of requests increase, page load time also increases. So as much as possible, we have to reduce the number of requests for page. That is the important point for a developer. You must reduce the number of requests so that we can improve the page load time. And usually that can be done by using a concept called bundle. So that means you have learned, when you learned CSS or JavaScript, we can write JavaScript inline. We can write JavaScript embedded. We can write JavaScript in external file. Which one is best? It is unnecessary to write in external file if you want to use only in a page. You are wasting your time. So it is unnecessary to write embedded if you want to use only once. Then we write in inline. That means which one we will use, that depends on the situation. Why we don't recommend to use external file every time? Because using an external file will increase the number of requests and also page load time. Every web developer should know that as much as possible, reduce the number of requests for page. How we can do? I must use all three files. I must use all the three files. I have to use all the three files. If I have to use all the three files, then without linking them, how to use? Then for that, this is the solution. What Webpack will do is it will bundle all files and keep under one reference name. That means we can bundle all these files and we can keep under one reference name. And this reference name is used by your project, which will request all the files. That means with one request, we are accessing multiple files. That is the concept of bundling. Every software web project requires bundling. Whether it may be .NET or Java or PHP or Python, everywhere you will find a concept called bundling and minification. Bundling is to reduce number of requests and minification is to reduce the size. And one more thing is, if I want these CSS in various pages, in every page we don't need to link. Without linking them in every page, we can make them work for every page. That is very good. That means you can configure in such a way that the resources are kept in one place and they can work from any place without linking them. That is what in interviews they ask also. In React interviews, one popular question for freshers they ask is, in index.html, we are not linking any script or any CSS. Then how the scripts and CSS are working? Index.html is using index.js. Without linking index.js, how it is using? That means actually where is the code? So you see index.js TSX. This is actually index.tsx. This is index TSX. In index TSX, what happened is it is having some code. And this is rendering into this page. Document get element by ID root. Into that root element, it is rendering. Into that root element, it is going to render. Now what happens is, let's go and see here in index.html, it is in public folder. No? In public folder, index.html is not having a link for any script file. It is not having a link for any script file. Then how those script files are working here? We are using document get element by ID root, but that script file is not linked anywhere here. Anywhere in this page, script file is not linked. Then how it is using? That is because of Webpack. Webpack is a software tool. Generally, we call this as what? Bundler. By using this bundler, we can bundle the assets. What is the advantage? It reduces the number of requests for resources for page and improves the page load time. It reduces the number of requests and improves the page load time. So you can configure resources globally so that they are accessible across all pages, or you can say across all pages or components like that. That is the concept of bundler actually. So we have several other bundlers also. We have bundlers like Webpack. We have bundler like Parcel. We have bundler like White. These are all different bundling softwares. Actually, React internally uses Webpack. It internally uses Webpack, so we will use Webpack. We can use Parcel, White, like other tools also. They are also popular for bundling, right? So actually, Webpack is a bundler. You see now, this is webpackjs.org. The main purpose of this Webpack is bundling the assets. This is bundling your assets. Any type of assets, your scripts or your styles or your images, anything you can bundle. What is the main concept is one request will access all files. The main purpose of bundling is this. And it is used everywhere. It is not related to React. It is related to JavaScript based technologies. Any JavaScript based application can use it. It requires a lot of configuration. This is not something you remember and write, because a lot of settings will be there. Lot of process is there. You need to get it from their official website and use it. Nobody in the world can remember the configuration settings. It's not possible, because hundreds will be there. You have to implement according to situation, according to requirement. Now we will use this Webpack for creating a React project from scratch, empty, right? So let's go to this now. Here, we will take a simple point. So we have create a new React application using Webpack. So this is a React application. What is problem with previous templates? Problem with previous template is it is giving so many things which you may not need. That means what you are doing, npx create React app, and it is giving a ready-made set of styles, ready-made set of files, app component, everything it is giving. We don't need all library for our project. Then we will just create only what is needed. That is best way. But in software companies, you will not get a chance of this because already the project people design the basic infrastructure and you have to work in that infrastructure. Very rarely you may get a chance of designing the infrastructure of project. It's not your job actually. That is the job of experts, seniors. They will create the complete environment required for project. In that environment, you are going to work. So even you know this Webpack, this is not you are going to use every day in your projects. You have to just work in that environment. Knowing about it, what helps you is you can understand where which information is kept. If in company they say that please change this path, then you know exactly where to go and where to modify. If they say that change this CSS file, then you should know exactly where it is present. For that reason, we learn this concept, how a React application is built from scratch using these bundling tools, right? Because lot of libraries we need to set up and do, right? Let's see here how to create a React application. Let's go. I think in the beginning I explained how to create an empty project, in that use React in existing project or in a new project. How to same process we have to follow. First thing what you have to do is create a new folder in your PC for React application. I will just give some D drive, some React Webpack, something like this I give. We will create some folder for our project. We will create one folder. That's the basic thing, first one. So let's open my PC details here. In D drive, I will create a new folder. I will give React Webpack. That is the empty folder we have. Now, next, what we have to do. So open the folder in, we have to open the folder in VS Code in your editor, any editor, whatever you have, you can open that in VS Code. Let's go to VS Code, file, open folder, and here in D drive, React Webpack, that is the folder. It's an empty project actually. Now, how do we make it as a professional web application, React application? How to make? For that, first thing, as per the standards, you know that. So after opening this, so generate package.json file. That is the first thing you have to do. And you know how to do that. npm init y. This is going to generate package.json. If you have learned general HTML, JavaScript based applications, they're also same environment we need to follow. In the introduction, I showed you this. Actually, this is used for generating package.json. What package.json contains? Why we need package.json and what it contains? Package.json contains metadata. Metadata means information about your project. Which version it is, what name it is, what libraries it is using, which version libraries it is using. All information is defined in package.json. So Generate the package JSON like this. Open the terminal, npm init and y. And this is going to generate package JSON for you. So this is the package JSON created. Okay, after package JSON is created, as per the standards, what we have to do? As per the standards, add following folders. You know what are the folders required for a project? We have public, another one SRs. What is the purpose of public? Public comprises of static resources. SRC comprises of dynamic resources. So static resources means like images, like text documents, like videos, everything. PDF, all such things are kept in this, and including HTML also. Dynamic resources means CSS, SCSS, TS, JavaScript, all these comes under dynamic. So static resources are kept in a public folder, dynamic resources are kept in this. So a developer have to understand these two basic folders, right? I will add one folder. That folder is public. And I add another folder, it is SRC. These are the two basic folders required. And after that, now we need to install some libraries. These are very important. So many libraries we need actually. These are complex. This information you will get from the official website of Webpack. You go to Webpack, their documentation will be there. In the documentation, you have to read according to your environment, which library is required. What is your project environment? According to that, what is the library you needed? You have to read that actually. Because same environment is not used in every project. In some projects, they use mobile development. In that case, they need extra mobile libraries. In some projects, they use development for other frameworks actually. Frameworks like, there are so many other frameworks like Next.js and all. So when people do in different environments, they need different settings. And that is not something you remember or you type, right? These you will get information from the official website, right? But for a simple React project, few libraries you already know, which I explained in introduction. You remembered in introduction, we created a empty project where we installed a React core library, React DOM library. We installed Babel library. Remembered? Babel is compiler. We need React DOM, React and Babel. But here you need additionally Webpack also. Webpack related library. So lot of work is here. And you know what are the files to keep? I hope you know. In public, what is the important file? Index.html. And in SRC, what is the important file? Index.js. That is, these are the two files important. And you know one more. In SRC, index will start with a component. What is that component? We have to add a new file, app dot what? JS or JSX, because it is a component. By default, it starts with app component. So these are the files we need to create. These are the files we need to configure in that. These files are enough for basic project. Later we can add components and everything. So if anybody asks, is it necessary that we should have an app.js? Not required. Because what we do, we can start with index.jsx. We can start with the home. We can start with anything. We done so many components now. We can start with any component if we want. Usually, as per tradition, it will start with which component? App component it will start. Okay. First, we are adding these files here. So next step, what we have to do is add following files into folders. So into public, you have to add index.html. Into src, you have to add app.jsx. Into src, you have to add index.js. So these are the folders you need actually. These are the folders we need to configure. Now, once the folders are defined, means these are the folders we have. Now, once the folders are defined and files are defined, now you have to install following libraries into project. You have to install the following libraries into project. Once you install these all libraries, and you know that library related all files are kept in which place? Node modules. They are kept in node modules. There is so many set of libraries. I will copy them actually. These are all settings actually for that. These are all the libraries you need. These are all the libraries you need to install. So you need to install Webpack and Webpack CLI. Webpack CLI is command line. Webpack CLI is command line. This is the basic library you need. And actually Webpack CLI, they are using the flag save for development. Development means it will download all unminified files. Because in development, we need not minified files. Because when you download any library, sometimes minified files will come. In development, minified files are not good. So we use dev. Dev indicates download only development file. Development file means unminified file. If it is minified file, it is difficult, right? So first one is actually related to Webpack. What this Webpack does is, this is responsible for bundling. It is responsible for bundling your CSS, JavaScript and all. What is the purpose of bundling? The purpose of bundling is to reduce number of requests. Second one, HTML Webpack is used to, generally bundling is done for only JavaScript and CSS. HTML also allows to bundle. For that, you need a separate library. Generally, bundling is mostly done for only JavaScript files and CSS. But if you want bundling to be done for this HTML, then we have to use HTML Webpack. So that is the reason you need this library. Yeah. And you need a development server library, because you know that every project runs on a server. Every project needs to run on a server. Actually, if you have practiced general web designing, you might have practiced your HTML pages run on live server. There is some extension like live server. You can install that and you can run on server. Generally, we don't directly open the pages. Every web application should run on a server. So Webpack will provide a server. On that server, your application is hosted and it is executed. That server actually tells the address. Generally, React application uses what? React application is using http://localhost. Localhost, what is that? 3000. Where this is coming from? This is coming from here. That means your server is running on this particular port number. This port number you can configure here now. That means here you can tell in which port number the project should run, right? On which IP address, what is the server name and all. Babel, you already know. Babel is what? Compiler. So Babel compiler you need to install. By using these, you can install Babel compiler. And remember, Babel is a JavaScript compiler. If Babel have to recognize JSX, because Babel usually recognizes JS, but here in React, it should recognize JSX and compile them. Then you need another one, preset for React, Babel preset for React. Actually, Babel is a JavaScript compiler, but this JavaScript compiler is not enough. You need a JavaScript extension compiler, which is actually React preset, that allows Babel to understand JSX files. Otherwise, it cannot understand JSX. It can understand only JS. And React DOM already we know. React and React DOM are the core libraries. And later, routing library, Axios library, Formic library, cookies library, Bootstrap library, depends on your requirement. But initially, to create a project, these are required. These are required. And these are not something you remember and write, because these you have to go to their official website, check the URL, what the library they are providing. You have to configure and define them. Let's run this and see. First, we will install this one. Let me copy that. Let's install that Webpack CLI. That is Webpack CLI. We have Webpack and Webpack CLI. So this is ready. Okay. You see automatically node modules and everything will come, right? And you need another Webpack HTML. That is another Webpack HTML. We need to download that Webpack HTML library. Yeah. Next, we need to install Webpack development server. This is required for running the project. Every project needs a server, and we need to install the Webpack development server. And we need a JavaScript compiler for React. This is also installed. Okay, we need a JavaScript compiler, which is Babel. This is the Babel core library you need. That is the Babel library you need to install. And Babel need to understand npm I is shortcut for installing, right? And another important is we need Babel for JSX also. Remember, this is not order. Anything you can install. All these must be installed. It's not like first this, second this, third this. Huh? I will install Babel React also. Babel for React. And we will install React and React DOM. These are required for React applications. That is the core library and virtual DOM library. These two are required. So all the library is ready. So that means we installed all the library that is required. Now comes the challenging one, is how you will configure which file to start with, which file to render first, which file to be used for index HTML, how you will mention. That means which file to compile. All these configuration settings, actually, they mention here in this Webpack. You have to go to documentation. In the documentation of Webpack, you can see here, it will show the documentation about the Webpack. And in this documentation, you will find all the details about this. Is all the configuration. Remember, these are all so many details are present. Remember, this includes including which version of JavaScript you want to use also. Generally, JavaScript version also you can choose. Is it ES6? Is it ES5? Which JavaScript? Because if you select any old version of JavaScript and you write some new functions which are not there in old version, it shows warnings now, right? So this is the configuration. Actually, complete configuration is present in this configuration location. So in this configuration, entire configuration will be defined. That means the configuration for that will be configured here, defined here. That means you see the entire configuration is actually present in a file called what? webpackconfig.js. So in a project, you need this file now. We have to add that file. In that, we need to define all the settings. That means actually it is accessing the path, it is exporting some libraries, and it is configuring the libraries. This is completely predefined. That means it will have ready-made set of settings. We have to use them. Actually, this is using a Node.js library in the backend. You saw already we used require when we created API. In Node.js, we created API. We used even server also we use. If you remembered, we used Express. By using Express, we created server, and we even defined port number, in which port number that server have to work. That is server side. This is client side. Client side we need to configure. So you need one file with the basic settings I will give here. That means we need to add this file. So let me configure that. The 7th point is you need to add webpack configuration file into project with the following settings. We have to add the webpack configuration file into project, and actually the file name will be webpackconfig.js. So this is the file name, webpackconfig.js. And for our React project, what the settings required, you have to copy those settings and use them here. Just you need to customize according to the requirement. So what I will do here, this is all the webpack related settings. I will copy that and I will explain this concept. You can understand that. This is ready-made settings. That means these are already present. So let's go and add a new file. Be careful where you are adding the files. Make sure that webpackconfig.js is present in the main root folder. Not in somewhere src public. Because many times people face this problem. Sometimes they keep in src. Then path will go wrong. We have to add a new file. What is that file? New file. So new file outside, right? What is it? webpack.config.js. This is webpack configuration file. That is a webpack configuration file. In that file, they have predefined settings. We need to put those settings. And usually this is the predefined settings. That's a ready-made setting already present in their project, means in their website. We have to copy. We have to just make some changes. What is the change? First point is we need the path. Path is actually accessing Node.js path. By using the path, we can access files and folders, right? And HTML Webpack plugin, you have to install that so that we can start index.html. You see, it is asking who is the entry point. Entry point means from which file it should start. I explained a React flow if you remember. When we discussed about hooks, when we discussed about component lifecycle, when we discussed about routing, I explained a complete lifecycle scenario. I showed you the flow, how request will come, how the application will start. So what is the startup file? Startup file is what? Startup file is index.js. Index.js. Where it is present? It is present in src folder. What this dot slash indicates? In the current folder. Current folder, there is src. In that src, we have index. And what is this output? Output is nothing but when you finally publish this project, currently we are building. When we are publishing the project, the index code will be copied into a file called main. That means in the development, you will have index.js. In the production, you will have main.js. You know that main is called entry point of program. It is called as entry point of program. Main is considered as entry point. It starts with main. In designing, our entry point is index. In final production, it will be main. So you have to mention these files, right? We have to mention entry point. Remember, this entire setting already they given. Just what you have to do, change the path, set up the file names. In their website, this complete settings will be there. Just you need to copy, paste, and make changes according to your requirement. So that is the option here. Okay, that is entry point. And see, in the plugins, we need a HTML plugin. In this plugin, we have to mention where the startup of index page is, HTML page. Where the HTML page is index.html. If anybody asks you a question in interview, is it mandatory that every React application should have index.html? Can I have home.html and I can start with it? Yes, that you have to change here. That means if anybody asks like, can I start with a login page? You can. Which page to start? Where it is present, that you define in this HTML Webpack plugin. In HTML Webpack plugin, we have to mention from which file we have to start. That means compiling will start with index.js. Output will be started with index.html. Is it mandatory that it should be index.html? No, it completely depends on what you mentioned and where it is present. It is present in a folder called public. That is the folder name, file name. After that, you see development server. It is asking in which port number server should work. Actually, for your React project, they give 3000. You can give any port number you want. And make sure that that port number is already not taken by some other application, because port number is nothing but in one server, several applications may run. If one server is running different applications, Angular, Java, .NET, PHP, Python, then every application have a different port number. So React application should work on a port number. Some I given as 4000. I just given as 4000. You remembered we used the 5000 port number for server side application. Huh? So this is for client. And in the rules, it is asking, what should be the extension of files? What should be the extension of files? The extension of files must be what? JS. That means JavaScript files. Which files to access? It is showing. Asterisk indicates all files with extension what? .js. With extension .js. That's what we need to configure, right? Now, if you mention JS, then JS. You can add .jsx also. Otherwise, what happens? It will not allow JSX. It will allow only JS. It depends. How you configure it depends. Suppose I will show here. We are using only JS. That means all your components must be what? They must have the extension .js. That is the reason you might have seen in the real React application when we created, they don't have JSX. They have only app.js. They will not have app.jsx because JSX is not mandatory to use. JSX is not mandatory to use as extension. JSX is the language which we use in JS file. In JS file, the language syntax is JSX. Extension can be just JS. But at different project levels, we don't want to confuse. That's the reason we give JSX as extension. But file is JS, but the logic inside that file is JSX. That is general actually. Okay, now this is the configuration you need to define. So in this configuration, what are the key points from which JavaScript file compiling should start? Index.js. From which file output should start? That is from index.html, right? Another important point is in which location the port number should work. That you have to configure, right? And what are the extensions of the files we have to give? All these settings are present in this website. All are present actually. Just what we have to do, we need to configure. Suppose you see actually plugins and everything they will provide here. The complete configuration. You see, this is the complete configuration. That is the complete configuration file. That means complete set of settings. And you see here, they have JS and JSX. And do you know what does this means? This is nothing but regular expression. Starts with, ends with. That is a regular expression. So these are all important options. All the settings are configured here. You have to just use those settings and define those settings, right? So anyhow, initially, these are the rules defined and these are the rules configured. We are accessing as per the rules. Okay, just copy them and make the changes. Only 3 places you have to change: index.js, index.html, and port number. 4th one is extensions. Actually, by default, extension will be JS. You don't need to change. If you want anything else, then you have to configure it, right? Now that is the Webpack configuration file. So this is the setting you have to define in that. This all code I am giving to you, you can define that. Okay, is it finished? No, it's not done. We have one more work here. Another one is we need compiler configuration. You have installed compiler, but you haven't mentioned anywhere when compiler have to start, because compiler also needs a configuration. Generally, compiler configuration settings will be different. What is the compiler configuration? Our compiler is Babel. This is Babel. In Babel, go to documents. In the documents, you see configuration, configure Babel. And these are the configuration related settings for Babel. In package JSON, what configuration you have to mention. And in, you see Babel config, what configuration you have to mention. There are so many options here. These are all the settings. These are related to compiler. These are related to compiler. That means now what we have to do is you need to define another file here. So add a new file. So into project. So for Babel configuration. And actually for Babel configuration, the file name is this one. This is the file name you need to define for Babel configuration. And where is that file? Babel RC. We have to use the file .babel RC. This is the file. That is the file you need to add for the Babel configuration. So we will copy that here. Go to the project, add another file. What is the file name? Dot Babel RC. That is the file we have to add. In this Babel RC, we have to define the configuration for compiler. Compiler related configuration. So compiler related configuration will be this. You already those settings are present. We have to just copy those settings. These are the settings we need to define. Already those settings are mentioned inside the Babel configuration. You need to just copy them. That means currently we need two. One is Babel preset environment. Another one is Babel React. These are the two libraries the compiler have to use. Those are already configured. This is what we need to define in Babel RC. Dot Babel RC. That is the file. You have to put these settings there. It's not finished. One more we have to do. We have to go to package.json. Now, how a project starts? By writing a command npm start. When you write npm start, the project will start. That is the command we need to configure. Means which command to start, which command to build, which command to publish. So we need commands, which command for testing, which command for compiling, we have to mention. Those are defined in which one? Package. So in package.json, go to package.json to configure the npm commands. npm commands to run, to test, we have to do that. So this is the package.json actually. In the package.json, already everything will be there. Only these two things extra we have to do. These two things we need to extra add, build and start. These two things you have to mention. You go to package.json, already all settings are present. In that, what you have to do in scripts area. So where you have to do the modification in scripts. In scripts area, you have to do some modification. Here we need to do some modification. What is the modification is here we need to add two options. What is this build? Build is nothing but build is for production. Production means it is ready for live. And what is for start? This is npm build, it is npm start, two commands. npm start, what it will do? It will start webpack server. Understood? It will start webpack server. What is the webpack server? It is mentioned in webpack configuration file. Which port number it will use? 4000 is the port number it uses. So npm start is going to run webpack server. In which mode it will run? Development mode. Suppose your development is finished. Now you need to publish the project, finally go live. Then we have to use build, npm build. npm build is nothing but it will build the webpack for which mode? Production. Development related start and production related build. Two options are required. So these commands you need to mention. So build is for production. I will show you that. Actually, for production, if you build, all files are copied into a folder called dist. In Bootstrap and all, you might have seen dist file folder will be there. A folder will be created by name dist. In that, all the files are copied. This folder is ready for production. That means all the code you want to send live, that must be in which folder? Dist. And for that, we have to use this build. And start is for development. For development, we have to configure start. And this is the code. This is the syntax we have to define. Just to keep it very much clear for you, package.json. In that package.json, let me copy entire code what it gives. That's this all will come once you configure. This is ready. Okay, all the configuration is ready. All the configuration settings. Remember, others, it already configured according to what we installed. It will set up all the versions and it will show what we installed. Okay, now project is ready, but still your presentation need to be ready. Presentation need to be ready. Let's go to index page. And in index page, we have to design here. What we will do, we will give here as React home, something like this. And in this, we need to define no script. Already I showed you in the beginning how to add a simple page and integrate React into that. No script, here we define, say, please enable JavaScript. You know that no script is an element to verify whether JavaScript working or not in browser. Enable JavaScript in your browser. After that, there will be one virtual root. So div, this ID will be what? Root. This process I showed you in the beginning, first, when we learned how to create a React application, how to use React in existing application, this process I showed you. Now this is enough in index. Okay, let's go to SRC. In here we need index.js. What about index.js? You need all the libraries to configure. What we have to do, we have to import. So React from React, that is one we need. Another one, you have to import. So create root. Create root. We have to import create root. From latest version, I told you that we use this create root. I told you in the beginning, old version, new version. So React DOM, in React DOM, in React DOM client, you will find this one. Create root will be there. And now what we have to do? So here we need to render app component. To render app component, first we have to create app component. I will go to this. I will add a simple file, app.js. In app.js, you know how to create a component. What is it? Function app, and what it should return. It should return simple markup. In that markup, it is like React home. So here we say welcome to React app with a webpack. Something like this we design. Some message we are configuring. This must be rendered in our index. Then you have to import one more. That means this function should have export function app. And you need to import that here. What is it? Import. So app from app, that we have to define. After that, what else we need to do? According to the latest version, we have to create a constant root. How to create a root? So we have to use React. React.what? Create root. We have to configure. And which one should be used as root? Which one should be used as root? We have to use directly. We can use this create root. So we have create root. Create root. Which one should be used as root? The main div which is present inside index. That means document dot get element by ID. What it is? Root. That means in index.html, there is a root div. This div should be used as root. Now into that root, what we have to do? We have to render. Into the root, we have to render. What is the render? Render what? We have to render app component. That's it. We need to configure this. That is index.js file. We have to create a root and it should configure. Now your project is ready. And it doesn't contain anything extra. Exactly what you need, you have them. Now let's run this and see. So we will check everything fine. Are there any compatibility issues and all, right? Because version issues may come here. So this is the project. Okay. After copying all this in package JSON, rest of work is same. What we have to do, we need to create app component in a SRC. In SRC already it is there. Let me copy that code here. So index.js is already there. App component, these all are already there. I will give just what I have designed now. This is index.js app component and all. Let me copy app component what I created and put this app component here. It is app.what.js. And next what we have to do, go to index.js. In index.js, this is the code. Okay. That is the code in index.js. Next what? So we need to go to another one, that is index.html. In index.html, this is the general thing. And remember, in index.html, we are not linking any script or anything, but it will start using that script, app components, everything. Let's run this now. How do we run? npm what? Start. So let's see npm start. It starts the Webpack development server. It is running on port number. It is successful. Everything is successful and it is running on which port number? 4000 is the port number. So what we have to do, open the browser. Here we request. What is it? Localhost. What is the port number? Localhost, and the port number is 4000. That is the port number. Then it should get that and display. This is a complete React application with Scratch. That means how we can create a React application, how we can start without any extra here. Because all these days you used npx, create React app. Remember, even you learned this Webpack, it's not necessary that your company should use Webpack. Your company may use White. Your company may use Parcel. Their entire configuration settings will change. Architecture will be same. That means public, SRC, index, app component, all same. Only one file will change. What is that? Configuration. That configuration file will change. This is building a complete application from scratch level, right? This is good to have an idea. Why? Because we will understand that, okay, this can be startup. This file will be here. But remember, you will never do this in companies. Why you will never do this in companies? Until or unless you are the person who is involved in architecture of project. And that will be mostly after 5-10 years experience, you will be kept in the project architecture team. If you have minimum 5-7 years experience, then you will be in the project architectural team. And in that team also, you are not responsible for doing everything. You are responsible for some configurations, right? In small scale, medium applications, you have to do. That means even you don't have any experience, sometimes we build for small applications. And in such small applications, we can build everything by ourselves. For that reason, you need to know these settings. How do we configure, right? This is a complete application. So what you do after this, so the last step, run your project and see. And that is done by using here. So run application. So that is nothing but npm. We have to use start, npm start. So this is going to start your application and handle it. This is building an application. Now the question is, currently this application is running. This application is running in our local server. How do we make it live? That means we can publish on any cloud servers. But for that, you should have a cloud experience first. That means you should know cloud technologies, AWS, Azure, or any cloud technology. Then you can publish on cloud, right? Any web application, you can't simply publish on cloud without knowing cloud. But in the learning level, so to showcase whatever you have done in your resume, because in companies, what they ask is, when you, these days, everything is online resumes, online portfolio. That means you are a React developer. Then what you do is you create a online portfolio. In that online portfolio, you will mention that I am this. That means online resume. And in that, you will put links for your projects, what projects you have done, so that those people can directly click on that and you can see what projects they have done. For example, many people do this. That means, for example, ReactJS portfolio. Suppose you are searching for somebody. Actually, some ReactJS portfolio people, there are some premium templates, right? If anybody is there, ready-made portfolio. Actually, let's take any sample design first here. So you see, these are portfolio templates they have given actually. Some portfolio templates. Yeah, these are some templates, portfolio related templates. Actually, these templates are nothing but, suppose I will show you this. This is some free template. They have given some more information or download. Actually, it's a complete project file they have given. So we will have to open this index and we can see that. You can download and you can see. Actually, the portfolio looks like this now. Means what people do is, so they design the portfolio and they will put an online resume saying that my work is this. I have done these examples. You can check, right? Because in resume, when they see you are having experience in React or working on React, you learned React, they will ask, can you show what examples you tried, what designs you created in React? Then how do we show? We host our applications on cloud. You can host on Git, you can host on Firebase, AWS, Azure. There are so many. Actually, every cloud technology is different. Every cloud is different actually. Every cloud is different. For example, suppose here I will show you. So how we can deploy on cloud. That means deploying on cloud. So I will show you deploying on cloud. Every cloud is different. We have like AWS, we have like Azure, we have like Firebase. So we have like now, we have like Netify. So you have so many options. We have GitHub pages, GitHub pages. So many are there. You can use any of. But remember, to handle APIs, databases, you need to learn the complete cloud technology. You cannot simply upload a database and use the database for that project on cloud without knowing cloud. You should learn cloud. Right here, I'm not teaching you cloud. I'm just teaching you how to publish a React project on cloud so that everybody can see what work you have done. Right. In that case, this is fine. Now, what we will do is, you see here, suppose we already have our existing projects now. Suppose different projects we created, which React ERP now. This is our first project we created. Here we have a lot of components. In this React ERP, there are so many components. If you remembered, so there in SRC, so many components are there. Suppose like Netflix and all this. Those so many components are there. Okay, I will do one thing. There is a shopper and so many options are configured here. Suppose I will take this Netflix. We have Netflix index, right? Suppose roughly shopper Netflix index. If you have a routing example, you can put that routing also. That will be better. So we will take here what is our previous project is video tutorial. Here we have a routing option also. Now this we want to publish live. That means we want to publish this live. This project we want to publish live. Actually, it is starting with MUI demo. It is having some MUI demo, but we will make it start with which one? App. We will make it start with app, right? That means what we will do. So in the startup, we will keep which one? App. That is the component we are keeping in the startup. Now, how to publish this onto cloud? How do we publish onto cloud? Every cloud have a different process. I will show you a simple example of how do we manage. So on, we have a Google Cloud. So we have a Google Cloud that is Firebase. Google have a cloud Firebase. You can create a free Firebase account. Firebase account is nothing but log in with your Google, you will get a Firebase account, right? Actually, so this is Firebase. We have Firebase. This is Google Cloud. This is Firebase. You open this Firebase and you log in into your Firebase account. This is actually first point. Open Firebase. So this is the Google Firebase. You log in into your account with your Google account. You can log in. Actually, I will log in with my Google account something here. So with my Google account, I will log in here. This is the Google account I am logging. Now, after login into Google account, first go to console. In the console, you need to create a project. In the console, it is already showing some projects I am having. I already have some projects. Now you need to create a empty project first on cloud. How do we create add project and the project name? I will give project name as React Video Tutorial. That is the project name. Actually, by that name already so many may be there. So that is the reason they give a unique code here. So I will do one thing, React Video Tutorial. That is okay. React Video Tutorial, this is available. I will use the project name React Video Tutorial. That is the project. And click on continue. Just say continue and select free account. Actually, you will have free paid accounts also. So default account is free account. And you just click on create project. Now a project is created for you. On cloud, we are creating a new project. This is empty. What we have to do, our React project, we have to push here so that now it becomes live. We have to push our React project to this cloud. So what you have to do is first log in into your account. So go to console and here create a new project. And the project name I given as some React Video Tutorial. After you do this, in order to use Firebase in your computer, you have to install Firebase tools. That means what you have to do is install Firebase tools on your PC. Any cloud you have to install. If you want to use GitHub, you have to install GitHub tools. You want AWS, you have to install AWS tools. If you want to install Firebase, Firebase tools. That means you have to install like this. npm install globally. So Firebase tools. Like this, we need to define. We have to go globally install the Firebase tools on PC. Let me check the command. Here, project is already created. Project is created. Continue. In the project, you will find there is a category called hosting. When you go to hosting category, it will show get started. It will show the command how to install the Firebase tools. npm install globally Firebase tools. Every cloud have different process, right? So I installed this. After installing, what you have to do is now log in into Firebase. You have to log in into Firebase. Just what you have to do is you have to write Firebase login command. We have to run the command Firebase login. Let's open our project terminal. And here, so we have to run the command. What is it? Firebase login. We have to run the command Firebase login. It will verify whether the correct account is logged in or not. Because if another account is logged in, we have to sign out and log in into that. Because in your PCs, sometimes you may be using multiple accounts, right? When you are using multiple account, make sure that the project you created on Firebase and here it is same, right? So once Firebase confirms that in my PC already I have installed Firebase tools, it confirms that I have logged in with the same account, right? There is no problem. Otherwise, it will open browser. In that it will ask, enter your Google ID, password and all, you have to log in. So it is logged in. Okay. After login, what you have to do is, so make your React application ready for production. You have to make your React application ready for production. Currently, your React application is not ready for production. It is ready for only development. To make React application ready for production, simple. You have to run npm build. You have to just run the command npm build. It is going to process your project and keep ready for production. Production means going live. So see now here, I will run the command. You will find here extra npm build. You have to use npm build. And when we use npm build, so it is using what is it? Run build. Yeah, npm run build. The command, what it is having, we need to check. It is building npm run build. And now what it is going to do is, it is going to compile. Remember, if there is any error in any component, it will not compile successfully. It will not build any component. Sometimes you people design one component and put it in startup, and you will not care about other components have some errors. So you may think like only this component will run. No, entire project compiles. When entire project compiles, any component have problem, it will not work. All components must be error free, right? That means here what you have to do, npm run build. That is the command. So now what happens is, it is going to build the project. And interestingly, you will find a separate folder is added into project. that folder is ready for production. You can see there is a build folder created. You can see there is a build folder created. In some projects, that folder name may be dist, D-I-S-T. Because for production, we use folder names. Which folder name it should be? That is in Webpack config. In Webpack configuration, that folder name we can give. Here, build, it is going to keep all the files at one place now. That means what is the folder ready for production? Build folder is ready for production, right? Okay. So it have to do lot of work, because I think in this project we have lot of things. Everything it has to build. So build is nothing but it is an optimized production folder. Means all the files are kept in that build location. It's taking time. Yeah. So build is completed. So it is ready to be deployed. Build folder is ready to be deployed. Now it is ready to deploy. Okay. Then how do we deploy? Once build is ready to deploy, next step, what we have to do is we have to run the command. So run the command. We have to run the command Firebase init, means initialize deployment. Initialize. That means now we have to run the command Firebase init. Now, so Firebase init. We have to run the command Firebase init. Now it will ask you some questions. First, do you like to proceed? Yes. Okay, first question, it is asking why you want to use this cloud. For which purpose you want to use this cloud? It is asking, do you want to use this for configuring real-time database or for hosting your application? Actually, our work is not real-time database, not security, not cloud functions. Our purpose is hosting, right? We have to select this hosting, go to hosting and choose that hosting. You can use up and down arrows, and we are using for hosting for Firebase hosting, because cloud is used for various reasons, and for that you need to learn the cloud technology actually. So what is the first thing you have to choose here? So select select hosting. In hosting also configure files for Firebase hosting. This you have to choose. After that, after I selected, hit enter. It is asking, you want to use a existing project or new project? That means in cloud, already there is a project, or you want to create a project. Already we have a project. That means next question, use existing project. Now I select use existing project. Okay, which existing project? It will show the list to you. It is asking which existing project. React video tutorial. This is the project we created. So we will go there and select that project. That's asking one more option. What is the folder which is ready for publishing? It is not public now. It is which folder? Build. That means the folder ready for publishing is which folder? Build. That is the build folder ready for production, not public. Actual files are present in public, but the production folder is not public now. It is what? Build. And hit enter. It is asking, do you want to write the index.html? Don't write anything in index.html because we want exactly how it is. We don't want to overwrite index.html. No, don't overwrite HTML. Do you want to set up with GitHub? No, we don't want to set up any GitHub. And already index.html is there. Do you want to overwrite? Again, warning it is giving. No, I don't want to overwrite. That's finish. So Firebase configuration is done. That means what you have to do, it is existing project. Existing project, we have React video tutorial. That is the project name we have to do. After that, overwrite index.html. Here you have to say no, right? And what is the production folder? Production folder is what? Build. You have to mention that. These are the important things you need to configure, right? Once you've done that, now initialization is completed. Now we have to push this project to cloud. That means still it is not pushed, only connected. You are connecting your local project with cloud. You need to push all the files there. So we have to run one more command. Run the command, and the command is Firebase deploy. We have to run the command Firebase deploy. I am running the command Firebase deploy. When you run Firebase deploy, and you can see that it is deploying some 18 files are there. It is deploying all the files. Oh, finish. And you know, this is the project address now. This is your project address. That means now I will copy this. Anybody having this address, he can use our app. That means we create our portfolios and give this URL in our resume. Generally, when we send a resume to anybody, we put this link in that resume saying that my work is here. You check. Then what happens is anybody opens this. Let's open this in the address. And you can see that our project is now live. Our project is now live. Right? You entered something, get started. So that means all the functionalities are working here. But remember, database is not configured. Database, APIs, it's a very big concept. That means you have to learn complete cloud technology, because there you will learn how to configure cloud servers for a database. How do we configure cloud servers for APIs? That's a very big concept. That means you can handle that. Everything is working here. Only the point is the database option is not there. So that generally we have to deploy through a lengthy process of configuration. That means you need to learn complete cloud, and every cloud is different. AWS, Azure, database servers, configurations. It's a big concept. But this is just good for designing your portfolios. That means whatever examples you created, Netflix or Shopper or something else you created, all of them, EMI calculator and all of them, you put links and you say that this is my work, and they can click and they can watch what you have done. This is deployment on cloud. So if any change happened, suppose every day, if some changes are happening, suppose what is the title? Tech videos. Then this is the home page. That means now see, let's go to our project. In the project, we will go to app. It is in SRC. It is in app.js. And you see the title it is having. What is the title? It is having tech videos. I will give here tech video tutorials like this. And I will save. Anything you saved will not update on cloud. You can see it is not on cloud. Because after doing every modification, 2 steps are there actually. What is that? After doing every modification, you have to build again. Means whatever changes are done, you have to build. After building, it will update into production, then deploy again. Build, deploy. 2 things you have to do. That means what I am doing here. So npm run, another one, what it is? Build. Again, you have to build. After doing every modification, you have to build. After building, what you have to do? After building, you have to deploy. Every modification, you have to build and deploy. That means every time you need only 2 steps. That is building and deploy. So that means here you have to simply write. So note is after every modification. So you have to run npm run build, and we have another one npm Firebase what? Deploy. Initialization not required now because it is already initialized. Once build is completed, now what we have to do? Firebase deploy. Firebase deploy is going to push the new updates. So the Firebase deploy is going to push the new updates. Any new file you added, any changes you have done, it is going to push the updates. And once refresh and see, and let's reload, it will get the changes and display. Whatever changes you have made, you need to build and deploy every time. This is publishing our project live. Our project is live and using the cloud servers, and different cloud servers, different things. That means all cloud is not same, right? Different cloud, different process. GitHub pages or Firebase or Azure, AWS. I will give one document. In that document, so some details about different cloud deployments will be there. You check them. If you are aware of those cloud technologies, you can use them, right? But this is enough just to publish your applications on that and use them. So I hope you are clear. We have learned how to create a complete React scratch. Another one, how do we deploy? And 2 more points are there. Testing and Redux now. Redux and testing, how to implement in our project. And one introduction, native. Native means mobile applications, how they are built. A simple introduction only for that. That we will see on Saturday. Right. So tomorrow and day after tomorrow, no session. Again, our session will be on Saturday. On Saturday, we will finish the concept by discussing about the concept of working with. One is Redux, React Native, and testing. Like 3 things, we will do that. Right. That will continue in Saturday session. Okay. Right. Doubts and everything we will have on Saturday session. By the time you finish all the practice, these 2 days, whatever you have done, you do all the practice. And if there are any doubts on Saturday, I will take. Right?